everyone. Mano Pubbangama Dhamma, Mano Siddha, Manomaya. Mind is the forerunner of all mental states. Mind is chief and mind made are they. So, to purify this mind, meditation is definitely the best technique. To talk about meditation, to lead a discussion about meditation today on DHAMMA HADAYA, we have invited a couple of resource personnel whom you have met before. And let me introduce them to you. First of all, I would introduce Professor Vasantha Gunatilake, Professor in Community Medicine, Head Department of Community Medicine, Faculty of Medicine, University of Colombo. And then we have Dr. Shiroma Bandara from UK, who used to be a dentist, and after an early retirement she practices meditation and remains a teacher of meditation as well. We warmly welcome both of you to this studio on DHAMMA HADAYA. And as I promised viewers, we thought of leading this discussion because both of our resource personnel, they are meditators themselves, and we thought that this topic is ideal to be discussed in their presence. So first of all, let me invite Professor Vasantha Gunatilake to initiate this discussion. Let me ask you, why do you think one should meditate?
Thank you, Sevandi, for inviting me to this program. I think we should start with this question: why should one meditate? Now, as a doctor particularly, I know that a lot of people are coming with physical illnesses. Not only physical illnesses, quite a number of them, almost 100%. Even if they come with a physical illness, they come also with a psychological illness, some kind of a stress. So, lot of doctors, lot of healers can heal the body, but mind also needs a healing. So, it is important to find a method to heal the mind, to make people happy, and ultimately direct them to the ultimate happiness, the permanent happiness. So, it is important for all these people to train their mind so that they make themselves happy, irrespective of whether they have a illness or not, whether they have a psychological problem or not, whether they work or not, whoever they are. It is very important for them to stay happy and continue to be happy. So, one way of making oneself happy is training the mind to be happy. So that is why we are talking about meditation of means of first being happy and then getting into permanent happiness.
Yes, Dr. Shiroma, why do you think one should meditate?
Yes, it is, as Professor Vasantha said, I totally agree that there is so much mental disharmony in people. In fact, I read an article published quite recently. It said 4 in 10 people, every 4th person has got some kind of mental disharmony or any depression, anxiety, fears, phobias, some kind of disharmony, mental disharmony. And we all know that this kind of mental imbalance can actually cause the physical disease. So even treating the physical disease will entail treating the mental condition first. So I think it's a very important aspect to see how to get the mind in balance, as so to speak, and in a very harmonious position. And we can do that by meditation. And this reminds me of Buddha's first teaching. When he came out, he said, "O monks, there are 2 things I come to teach. One is about suffering, and the second is cessation of suffering." So there you are. So this is what basically the whole teaching is all about, keeping your mind happy and cessation of suffering in yourself. That will lead to physical well-being as well.
Okay. Lord Buddha has, preached about, or Lord Buddha with his wisdom, with his supreme wisdom, has sort of analyzed person to person and given each person the perfect kamatahan for him or her to meditate. Professor Vasantha, now what do you think is the best method of meditation? Because there are so many types that we have heard of.
Yes, I think it's important first to verify for what purpose one is meditating. There are people who meditate just to get over their stress in the workplace or stress on the way or family in family matters. For that person, one method of meditation, there are different kinds of meditation available from different teachers. So for that person, one method may suit. And then there are other people who look for the ultimate purpose of life. Those people want to go for eternal happiness, permanent happiness. Whoever they are, ultimately at the back of their mind, they need a permanent happiness. If you ask somebody whether you want to be happy, yes, I want to be happy. You want to be happy today and not tomorrow? No, I want to be happy tomorrow also. So everybody knowingly or unknowingly asks for permanent happiness, permanent lightness, free from stresses. So ultimately it boils down to a permanent happiness. So for this, the Buddha taught us a method. I'm talking about that method. Other methods we can discuss, but I think it's important for us to discuss what is more important, applicable to everybody. So the method the Buddha taught us is the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path includes a system of meditation. Why we should actually go in the Eightfold Path and call it Eightfold Path and not just meditation is that just meditation will not take you to the final goal. It will take you somewhere and may be happy while doing that kind of meditation for a little while, and then because it is meditation, people tend to give it up at one point, and then after that again they remember
I think,
it.
You can reach up to the jhanas but not reach the goal.
Exactly, perhaps. The jhanas, and then you feel a little happy, then suddenly something crops up in your workplace and then meditation is forgotten, and then after that maybe a couple of months later again you realize that you need to meditate and you restart, and then you need to start from the beginning, and it is you don't reach up to your expected target. So in the Eightfold Path, if you follow the Eightfold Path, you start with a vision. We'll take it simple. The true vision, the real vision, we call it in Pali Sammaditthi, the vision to get into the permanent happiness. So if that vision is there, then one is a vision, and then that is something continuous until you achieve it. And the other, the attitude, the right attitude is also something that is driven into a person until that person gets into Nibbana. That attitude will not wane. That is the value of it. Then the other things follow. The three things, the discipline in the express language, that is, you don't talk. You 100% talking. So anything that you do in through the mouth, any volitional acts, karma will stop. So you also stop the physical body. When you stop the physical body, any wrongdoing in the physical, from the physical body stops 100%. This has to be 100%. That's why you stop talking, you stop moving the body, and then once those two are complete, livelihood is a perfect one. That is, nothing happens, nothing bad volitions happen from the physical body and from your words, language. So you are left with your dealing with the mind. You now have disciplined your physical body. You need to discipline your other senses and your stored memory. So what you do is you now get into the 4 contemplations. Basically, I will describe very briefly what you do. You have 3 domains from which you get thoughts. One is the outside domain. You have your visual inputs. You see things, you see films, you see other your wealth outside, and then you hear things. People listen to music, and then you taste things, and then you touch, smell. Those 5. During meditation, you stop all those 5. You don't take in things from the outer world. You also stop any sensation from the physical body, your own physical body. So you have stopped 2 domains, inputs from 2 domains. And now then you are left with the 3rd one, that is the stored memory. Continuously thoughts will flow into your mind from your stored memory. Your children at home, your job, your land, if you have some legal proceedings in courts, and that all these one after the other. So during meditation you realize that there is a store of memory which will send in one after the other thoughts, even if you stop the 2 other inputs, 2 other
so your
sources.
Inner speech would be there.
Exactly. People call it inner speech, clutter, and whatever it is. What happens is, you have to know that you have a stored store of memories, and that pops in thoughts. So what you do is, during meditation, you have now stopped things from outside and from the physical body. You let go those thoughts also. So you are basically letting go the outside world, physical world, the physical body, and your stored memory, keeping the mind free of those attachments. So that this is what happens in the contemplation in the mind. So you need enormous courage to do it. Actually, if one is courageous, this is where that courage has to be demonstrated. You need to sit down. You need to sit down and wait without moving yourself, which is very difficult. If you do it for about 1 hour, it's not easy. And then to stay like that, sit down and stay. So that is enormous courage that one needs. That's why the courage is a component in the Eightfold Path, Samma Vayam, the right effort. And then you go through 4 Supra Mundane absorptions, first, second and third. And during this process, you realize what the suffering is and what the cause of suffering is, and later practice the cessation of suffering. You get into the fruition of the path, and you experience yourself briefly nirvana, nibbana, and then when you get there, you are sure that your path is correct, what you practice is correct. So you realize these 4. Now this is the method that the Buddha taught us, and it's in itself is a comprehensive method. It has all the components of completing it and doing it, and within it, whether you are progressing or not progressing, even those things are there in the Eightfold Path. Because of that, one who really enters into the Eightfold Path is in a path that is likely to be completed.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir. And Dr. Shiroman, now since the Buddha is absent now, not living anymore, to analyze us individually, mentally. So through your experience, like Professor Vasantha Gunatunga mentioned, through your experience, what can you say? What is your opinion on what is best for you?
Yes, I think I totally agree with Professor Vasantha. The having eightfold path in the background of your mind, that actually gives you the path, sense of a goal and a sense of the path. Like if you say you're planning a trip to Anuradhapura, in your mind, even though you're here and now at home, in your mind you have the sense of the path where you're going, and then you know about the place you're going. So Sutame Jnana, Chintamya Jnana, all that comes into play, and then you know the path, what route you take, what are the pitfalls, what you should do, you shouldn't do, and this is the path that takes me there. So in Mahanama Sutra, Buddha has actually explained it to Mahanama, his cousin, about having the sense of the goal, sense of the path, and which leads to cessation of suffering. So it's interesting to see that the Buddha always looked at it as not so much achieving happiness, but like letting go of sorrow, letting go of sadness or disharmony, or letting go of suffering, cessation of suffering. So cessation of suffering or letting go of suffering will, by cause and effect, will leave you with a happy state of mind, that kind of thing. Even nivima, nibbana is all about nivima rather than ativimak of something. It is about extinction of something. So because that is so beautiful when you think of the right vision and right thought, samma sankappa, the little component of samma sankappa we always jump over is nekkhamma sankappa. So the avihimsa sankappa and the nekkhamma sankappa is that letting go attitude as you go. So the path is all about, the eightfold path is all about the letting go attitude. So when you think of it like that, so we have the right vision, some kind of right vision to start this, and Shraddha that it will work because of Buddha's mind. Through experience, moment to moment, as you are in the eightfold path, you will experience the happiness, and then your Shraddha will grow. So until then you start with Shraddha, and this eightfold path is not necessarily sitting down meditating. I think it is moment to moment through the day. So I think we discussed in one of the programs where one can get up in the morning and then focus into the present moment and watching the mind, the peaceful mind. And the little mechanism that we talked about is, say, for discussion's sake, that the straight line, like Sakko, Ujucha, Sujucha, it's a straight line, this eightfold path, and what develops is the right view. So Samadhi is there, and this eightfold path, your path is there, the straight path. This is a transgression of a mind. This is a mind movement. So the mind, we watch the mind, the awareness watching the mind through the day and seeing the peace and non-greed, non-delusion and non-anger in there. And as soon as, say, if we say angry thought came, or a lustful thought, a karma thought, the mind is not in the line anymore, that it's deviated with the akusala chetana, kama chanda, kama raga, kama akusala chetana, then akusala vipaka will come back to the source because it goes in a circle and come back. So you know your mind has deviated. So bring the mind back to the straight line. You let go of that kama raga, the nandiya, and the deviation. You know about it because of awareness, the mindfulness, right mindfulness, get it back to the straight line, and you keep on watching your mind through the day. Say someone starts like that, so as the right effort is needed to come back, right vision is needed to know when delusion arose, when anger arose, when greed arose, lobha, moha, dvesha arose, to know about it. This has arisen now. Need right effort to get it back, to let it go and get it back to the straight line again. And when you keep the mind in the present moment like that, in the straight line, your mind is in the present moment with right mindfulness, and what develops in that calmness is the right concentration. It develops like cause and effect. What you're doing is putting the effort because of your vision to keep in the present moment. So you're in right mindfulness. It could be watching your mind, watching your feelings, watching your body, but in this case we've taken watching the mind as the example. Suddenly you feel the mind goes to such calmness because there is no unhappiness there is no shaking of the mind, and it's getting calmer and calmer, and your right concentration is building up in the background. And within that you're watching arises and passes naturally. You start seeing the true nature of phenomena, true nature of what actually arises in the mind and what happens to it and what passes. And then you start seeing, just by watching, the anicca and the dukkha and the anatta, that there is no continuity, that's a rising, passing nature of the mind. And as you keep watching that with your awareness, your right view increases. So you go into another level of right view, another level. So in fact, you will know, yes, this is the Eightfold Path is within me, and it is where my mind is traveling through the Eightfold Path here, because I'm constantly putting effort to keep it there in the Eightfold Path. So this mechanism we always discuss, keep it in your mind. It might waver, the mind will go, and then keep getting it back, keep getting it back. And when I say keep getting it back, I remember a clip that I heard of a Burmese Mahasi Sayadaw Dhamma clips, a series of Dhamma clips. Someone has posted in the and there I heard a beautiful way of describing this. This Mahasi Sayadaw takes the example of a dart player, and the dart player, say amidst friends or in a club or a pub or somewhere, picks up the dart. He's joking and laughing. Suddenly he picks up the dart and he aims, and there is a aiming, attention and aim and throw. And as soon as for that throwing, he has to have the attention, aim, throw. So and he explains, keeping in the mind, in the mindfulness in the present moment all the time, aim, attention, keep it in here, keep that aim here. So that we can do even with the breathing meditation. When we do anapanasati, just focus, attention on the breath, focus, and then you keep watching, and aim and attention throw. So get that aim and attention back to the present moment. So mindfulness, present moment, the whole of the Eightfold Path will unfold with cause and effect. And there's no one trying to do anything, it's just a whole series of causes and effects unfolding in the present moment. So this is seated down, I feel, the meditations we can do. This is not easy to do, this present moment mindfulness through the day. The samatha practices, samatha samadhi practices to the jhanas is important to train the mind to be in one pointed concentration or at a certain point, and without dispersion and wavering and running around. So once somebody, what I found very useful is at least couple of, now that I have the time, I can do couple of times, an hour in the morning, hour in the evening at least, give time, sit and do samatha samadhi with one pointed concentration through the anapanasati, just as it comes in the Eightfold Path as well, as Samadhi is described as the first, second, third, fourth jhanas. So you develop the mind to such an extent, it's so easy through the day to keep the mind in mindfulness, and it comes there and it's under your control, and you don't have to struggle too much to keep that mind in mindfulness. And keep the mind in mindfulness through the day, you find the Vipassana Samadhi growing, developing in the background as you watch the true reality of phenomena. As you see certain emotions come and they just stay, they just leave. Feelings come, happiness, unhappiness, or neutral, and they don't stay for too long, they leave. If you just watch without hooking onto it and making a big meal out of it, their true nature is they pass, they arise, they pass. So seeing this arising, passing, eventually the Four Noble Truths unfold, because you see that these things are not lasting, they are not sukha, subha, they have this arising, passing nature, and therefore they are object of suffering. And of course you don't have any control over that, so there is anatta nature and all that. And also the peak of samadhi comes as you watch the peak, that these all the sensual objects out there, the impingements into the six sense bases, they arise and pass. And there is this dukkha nature. If you cling to it, there is that suffering arise. By letting go, seeing the true nature, letting go, there is no suffering. So you see the cause of suffering, the suffering, and the path leading to that happiness that, as he said, you experience that nivima, the cessation, and then you know by letting go that stage was achieved, the nibbana, moment to moment.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Now, listening to that explanation, maybe a few of our viewers think it's, as you said, it's not that easy, and it sounds very complicated. And as Professor Vasantha Gunatunga said, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage, and you also said, ma'am, now that you have time, just you can go on for hours. So the next question I'm going to direct to Professor Vasantha. How practical it is for a working person. Now suppose we have to go to work every day. How practical it is for a person who works daily to be engaged in meditation. Can this be practiced, I mean, in this manner?
Yes, we have our priorities. Now we do a job to survive. Basically, you have to earn a living. So you live. What do you live for? You live for something, and to live for something, you have to earn a living. So you should not devote all your time to earning. You must spend some time on earning, and you should earn enough to lead your life fairly comfortably. But you need to have time to make life more comfortable. What I mean to say is that
you don't live to earn.
You don't live to earn.
Okay.
You don't live to earn. You live, and a lot of people don't know what they live for. But you need to realize, you need to verify, you need to ask yourself why I am living for, what I am living for. Actually, we have been given a human life, and we need to make maximum out of it, not by earning, but learning the art of being happy, and ultimately towards the end of life, not necessarily toward the end of life, any moment, even at this moment, to be happy. So if you want to be happy, if you want to be free of stress, then you need that as one of your priorities. So if that is one of your priorities, then you need to work on that. So you allocate some time for you to meditate. You work and you find time to meditate. If the meditation becomes a priority, if making yourself and your family, not only yourself, if you are happy, your family is also happy. People around you are all happy. So if you are to make that happen, if you are to do a catalytic role of making people around you happy and yourself happy, then you need to give it a priority in terms of time and effort. So you what I do is I allocate my 2 hours every day for meditation. That thing that comes to the diary. So if you are to do it, you should give that priority. So what I am advising our viewers is also that if you want to practice this art of making yourself happy, making your family happy, making your workplace people around you happy, you need to give it a priority and allocate some time in your diary. The first thing that you should do that is that you have 24 hours a day, and say you sleep for 6 hours and work for 8 hours. Again, you have spent 14 hours, and the balance is there. And out of that, take 2 hours. You eat, you bathe, you do other things in life. And as a necessary part of your life, you allocate couple of hours, hour or two every day for your meditation practice.
Yeah, maybe a bit of your teledrama time.
Exactly. Yes.
And also, I would like to add something. And remember to keep your phone in silent mode as well when you meditate. Dr. Shiroma, is there anything you would like to add before we move on?
This is it. If you want to make time,
Yeah.
you can always make time, because if you want to make time to watch a teledrama, I'm sure everyone rushes and make time to watch the teledrama.
We do.
Yes, and this is the whole thing I find is people make time until they experience the beautiful serenity and happiness you feel when you sit down and start meditating. Yeah. And once you start feeling that joy and happiness that comes from within you, no one has to tell you, it will come, the urge will come, and you will run and go and sit and practice that samadhi
You'll
meditation.
be self-motivated.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for mindfulness, what we do over there is we, as a group, when we start practicing mindfulness through the day, we always discuss, oh, it's so difficult. We go to work and children come, we forget, within 2 minutes mindfulness is forgotten and all this. So what we do discuss various different ways to help each other, and some suggestions that has come, and we actually have practiced is to put a mark of a S everywhere, in the office where you sit, when you brush your teeth, in the bathroom, or when you comb your hair near the brush or the comb. As soon as you see the S, mindfulness,
Sati.
mindfulness. Yes, sati.
Okay.
And then you come, even for 5 minutes, you come back to mindfulness, and it will go. Then you start drinking your tea and you see the S near your sugar bowl, come back to mindfulness, come back to mindfulness. And then suddenly you find that the inner mind is calling you to mindfulness. Some friends used to actually use the mobile phone, and as soon as they are in mindfulness, they send S, just text S, and there's a ting going. And then, oh, my so-and-so is reminding me to be mindful. Wow. And so I was talking to others, and this goes a ting, oh, mindfulness. Ting, oh, mindfulness. They remind each other of mindfulness. And also in Bhante Gunaratna's book, I read that you can set the time in your mobile phone every hour for a little beep to come, like a stopwatch, and that will put you in mindfulness every hour basis. And I find the crux of all these practices being the mind in the present moment and being in mindfulness. So that is very important to practice that, and whatever work you do, you can do that. So work and responsibility and all these chores that I have to do, that won't be an excuse.
Yeah, maybe you will notice that you're doing it properly for the first time.
Yes.
Being mindful of the tea, maybe you are enjoying it for the first time.
Yes, and also how I found is I used to find it very tiring walking long distances. If I couldn't park the car near the shop, I'd dread trying to find parking places so close. So one day I got up around and I went left, right, passing every foot I put. And I didn't realize I had come to the shop. And it was like I was just doing that on the spot, and I didn't feel tired at all. And then I found a lot of work I can do without feeling tired in the present moment, and letting go, so that no emotions will affect me at all and hinder me. So that advantage you get as well of that being in the present moment. Also seeing reality for what it is always all passing. If everything is passing, why bother reacting to it? And why bother say I don't like it or I like it, next minute it's gone. So you don't feel that there is much value in all these things that are passing, and just allow things to pass. And as Professor mentioned, gradually, like effect of a cause, without your own thinking and striving, you start not bothering to speak out and argue or say things, and your speech gets less, and you don't bother talking about it, and it's past, and you don't bother reacting to anything, and it passes. Life becomes so peaceful. You just watch.
Yes.
Life becomes simpler because you talk less,
Yes.
and then more you talk, more you ask for trouble. Because of the miscommunication. Now we have a language, we have something in mind, concept. We translate that into language. When you translate your concept into language, there's a drop. You don't translate it to the language 100%. The other person listened it, and he will grab only about 80%, 70% of it. And when he returns his conversation, he talks back, there's another drop there. So there's right throughout every link, there's a drop in the communication. So actually, when you go to the end, the Rahatan Wahanse, the communication is silent communication has a lot of value.
Yeah,
and
it's Sabba Sankara Samato, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes.
Which means?
Sabba Sankara Samato Patinisaggo, that Yantan Santang Yantam Panitang Sabba Sankara Samato, meaning all Sankaras have extinguished and died, all Sankaras from thought, word and deed.
Yes. Now, listen to the conversation. I remember Dr. Shiroma once said that maybe you just rush and watch your teledrama, but if you have felt what it is like to feel the initial bliss of the samadhi of meditation, you'll be self-driven. So nobody will have to urge you to meditate. So since two of you are meditators yourself, first of all, I would like to ask you, Professor, what happens to a person while he's meditating? Because I'm sure those who have not tasted that bliss of meditation would like to know of someone who practices. Yeah.
Okay, I will try to explain. It's something, explaining the experience is difficult, because if someone has not gone through the same thing, and that is something that he has never experienced. So it's like describing the taste of treacle to a person who has never tasted it. But I will try. Now in the first, we start with the first Supra Mundane absorption. That is, I'll tell you the Pali script also to start with. Viviche kame, viviche akusale dhamme, savitakkang, savicharam, vivekajam, pritisukam, patamajjanam, upasampajja viharati, that is we cut off the outer world, which is the calm world, which is akusale dhamma, cut off the physical body. Then we see the thought, let go, and see the next thought, let go, and keep doing that. When you do that, you are actually in the first Supra Mundane absorption, which is simple. People don't realize it is so simple to get into the first Supra Mundane dhyana. If you start meditating in the Eightfold Path, the 4 foundations of mindfulness, you start with the first Supra Mundane, which is quite light and not a deep sense of separation from all inputs to the mind. But second one, when you go into the second one, this letting go process becomes quite easy, and you feel the body very light. And normally when you sit in this position with the folded legs, it's not easy to stay in that for a little while. But when you get into the second Supra Mundane absorption, all
the
this
second jhana
is that you don't feel the weight of the body. When you don't feel the weight of the body, it's quite comforting, and then your handling the mind also becomes very easy. And in the first one, it is quite, we need a lot of effort to do it. When you get into the second one, it happens effortless. So you keep the mind within the body, and which I did not describe actually. There's a process where you scan the body using the mind to keep the mind in some kind of engagement. And when that happens, you experience various thoughts from these 3 domains that I described. This becomes very easy. You don't cling on to those thoughts, and you easily let go. And then you feel, on one hand, your physical body is very light and very comforting, and also the mind is not clinging on to things, and it's very easy to handle the mind. That is the second level. And third level, of course, is you don't feel any of these outside thoughts or physical body or thoughts on the stored memory, and you can maintain that for a little while. That is where you can solve a lot of deep problems related to the Dhamma, basically how the mind works, the attachment, separation from attachments happen. All these deep things can be solved in the third level. Fourth level, of course, is very short, and you immediately fall into the fruition of the path. In the fruition of the path, you don't realize all that much, but you experience the bliss of being in the nirvana. But in the 4 jhanas, you realize a lot of things. So the concept, when it comes to the third level, it's enormous, because as if you don't have a body. When you don't have a body, a lot of bulk of the problem is gone. Because
that's the 4th level.
That's the third level. Then mind is also so. You can't go to that level without the mind being so controlled, so serene, and with not basically clinging on to the 3 domains of thoughts, the outside body and the stored memory. So you start with a more difficult first level that needs a lot of effort. Then you go into the second level, which is easy to do, and you feel light in the body and feel much relieved in the mind. And you go to the third level, very much relieved, where you can handle the mind to look into how the volition happens, how does volition stops in the meditation, why stopping volition helps to keep the mind in the path, and what happens actually when you get into the fruition of the path, when you go to the 4th and then into the fruition of the path, and what is the difference between the path and the fruition. And then all these things you realize within these 4 jhanas before going into the fruition path. You see the difference when you are in the fruition, between the fruition and the path, but bulk of the realization, understanding happens in those 4 levels of 4 jhanas in the path.
Yes, Dr. Shiroma, what do you think goes in the minds of a yogi who meditates according to your experience?
Starting, if someone starts, Buddha has taught we are in the mundane world, and of course, as one of my teachers had explained, like an octopus, we are all clinging to all our material wealth and houses and relationships and all our belongings, and suddenly we have now given up, closed our eyes somewhere comfortably, all the sensations are closed, we let go of all that and draw within, and then going to the first stage of that tranquility would be reaching samadhi levels. And there are 2 samadhi levels that Buddha has taught, the arpana samadhi and upachara samadhi and the arpana samadhi. For arpana samadhi and upachara samadhi, it's a feeling of sense of lightness and happiness and joy and inner bliss and inner light, and then you go into upachara samadhi is like if you are in the veranda of this tranquility of the mind, and then you go into the full-fledged samadhi where you go into like going inside the house and sitting down, the proper full-fledged samadhi, upachara arpana samadhi. Then here you go deeper into samadhi. If there is a sense of your breath going, you're still with the sense of awareness with the breath, and there is vitaka vichara, priti sukha and ekaggata, so sense of bliss and sense of light or brightness of the mind, and the sense of that the focus on the breath is there, vitaka vichara is there, but you're elevated and sense of the body is just by clinging on to the sense of the breath. And when you go to the second jhana, that letting go of vitaka vichara, that is letting go of the breath itself, the awareness of the breath disappears, and that happens, you have joy and bliss, and the mind is focused there.
Yeah, vitaka vichara means?
Vitaka vichara is like a thought and sustained thought. Here, these mundane, random, diverse thoughts are not there because you're focusing on the breath. So let's say in breath, out breath, or beginning, middle, end of a breath, or that sense of that is vitaka, and a sustained thought, that awareness of the breath. So going to the second jhana, that vitaka vichara drops. So suddenly you feel as if you're not breathing anymore, and your mind has elevated into happiness, joy and bliss, and huge happiness, priti sukha, and mind is focused onto that sense of happiness now instead of the breath. So you're there as if you're floating, your breath awareness, the body awareness is not there now. That's the second, no any thought. So here, you're aware of the states of mind, priti, sukha and ekaggata, joy, bliss and one-pointedness. And as what happens actually, the Four Noble Truths starts unfolding in each stage where you're experiencing priti, like joy, and suddenly you feel this joy is also quite gross and it's there, and I've felt it now what, and I'm getting bored with the joy, and dukkha arise. So you let it go of that dukkha, and then you find sukha ekaggata, the third jhana. In sukha ekaggata you have beautiful sukha and profound sukha with ekaggata, and I personally experienced, and what is ekaggata is when the sukha also you watch that, And as you watch that, that also suddenly gets less and less and passes away, the Sukha element, the third jhanas. And you end up with the one-pointed concentration of the fourth jhana. And there, that is where your vipassana, you can start doing the proper, seeing the proper vipassana to go to the 7th, 8th, 6th, 7th, 8th jhanas, which are extensions of the fourth jhana, where your mind will travel into the universe and to up higher stages, and neva sanyanasana, where you see a perception coming, not coming, coming, not coming, and then you fall into this sanya vedita nirodha, where cessation of sanya vedana happens and the mind falls into the maggapala chitta. And of course, as you do that, all the vipassana jhanas will unfold. You would have from the other side, because this is a two pathway. The other way, you have separated the nama rupa hetupala and nibbida, you've let go, and your mind has fallen into the 16 levels of vipassana jhanas, and here the fruition happens. So it's a process, of course, an effect that allows you to the mind to fall into that stage. And how do you know that it has happened? It's like pratyavekshana. You suddenly come out and wonder what happened, and then you look back and then you realize the whole realization strikes you. And of course here, as the Buddha says, you need a Kalyana Mitra. 100% Kalyana Mitra's help comes here to guide you and to discuss about it and to realize what has unfolded.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, both of you, for sharing your meditation experience as well as your Dhamma knowledge with our viewers today. And viewers, we are very sorry that we had to put a comma to this very interesting program, but we are going to continue it next week as well. So while thanking Professor Vasantha Gunatunga as well as Dr. Shiroma Bandara, thank you very much for being with us, and we hope that you have benefited and that you will start practicing and you will find time for meditation as well. And I'm sure you quizzes, you have clarifications about this discussion, so please write to the producer, Dhamma Hadaya, the Buddhist TV, Sri Sambodhi Vihara, R.J. Senanayaka Mawatha, Colombo 7. Thank you for being with us. Bhaviti kusala dhamme asevati vaddeti etayati bhavana. May the most noble triple gem bless you.